Thank you very much, Ambassador. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the second award of the evening will be Ronnie Lancaster. He is Senior Vice President for Government Relations at Assurant, Inc. Prior to Assurant, for 13 years, he served in several positions at the Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia, including Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. Prior to the Morehouse School of Medicine, Mr. Lancaster served in various roles at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, including Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation. Mr. Lancaster serves on a number of not-for-profit boards in Washington, D.C., including Providence Hospital, Smithsonian Jazz Program at the Museum of American History, and the City Year. Please welcome Mr. Lancaster to the stage.
Thank you, and good evening. It's my privilege this evening to introduce Jeff Franco. Now, what can you say about a program where 600 of the area's best and brightest compete for the privilege of volunteering in our city schools? A program so competitive that only one of four is selected. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to City Year. City Year, as the name suggests, is a program where young professionals, young kids, best and brightest, typically young college graduates, who before assuming their first professional position or going to graduate school, seek the opportunity to volunteer to mentor in the DC public schools. Now, we're often told that metrics are important. And so, with your permission, I'll share with you a few that will describe Jeff's tenure as executive director. So in his 8-year tenure, Jeff has doubled his staff, he's tripled his fundraising, and he has quadrupled the number of students that he serves. And there are 27 City Year programs around the country located in the principal major cities in our country. And during Jeff's tenure of 8 years, 7 of those consecutively, the other colleague programs have voted the City Year DC program as the most successful. Now, Jeff, I'm sorry, I must confess in front of everyone here a note of some disappointment, because you've been executive director for 8 years, and you've only won that national competition 7. So clearly there's room for improvement. I'm honored to be a member of the City Year Board, and it is with sincere thanks to the Rumi Forum that it is now my privilege to welcome to the stage to accept the Extraordinary Commitment and Community Service Award to the Executive Director of the City Year DC program, Mr. Jeff Franco.
Thank you and good evening. Ronnie is not only a board member, but he's really a mentor, friend, has given me a lot of guidance, and besides that, he's very eloquent, so if I screw this up, we'll still end up okay because of the great words that he said, so thank you, Ronnie, I appreciate that. So this seems like a fairly international group. I'm not sure how many people here know City Year, but it's really become my vocation for the past 8 years. I've had a lot of international experience in terms of my family. My father was born in the Dominican Republic. He was one of 12 children. He was the youngest. He was the only boy. and he was the only one to finish school beyond a high school education. His mother was his greatest mentor, and she pushed him to continue to seek education as a pathway out of poverty. And he ended up becoming a heart doctor, and a prominent one at that here in the United States. And he broke this cycle of poverty and created a cycle of opportunity and privilege for me and my siblings that I've been able to reap the benefits from. My passion behind City Year is because, number one, it's my belief that education equality is a civil rights issue and that everyone deserves a chance to have a good education. The second one is I believe in the power of young people to serve and to change their communities. A lot of people don't know, I've lived in DC for about 20 years, and many people that come to visit here get to see the beautiful things that DC has to offer. DC is one of the smallest big cities in the country. It's also the tale of two cities, in that it is at once the home of some of the greatest educated people in the world, some of the greatest resources and power. At the same time, it's also some of the greatest poverty, murder, crime, HIV/AIDS, and dropout rates. So the graduation rate in this country is about 80%. The graduation in Fairfax County is about 93%. The graduation in Washington, D.C. is about, this year, 58%. And if you go east of the Anacostia River, the graduation drops to about 44%. So it's something that shocks some people, but that the kids' chance of success is oftentimes determined by their zip code, which makes it a civil rights issue. And so what our organization does is that we recruit a group of young people. As Ronnie said, the majority of them are college graduates, some are high school graduates, that commit a year of service of their lives to work in these schools in high poverty neighborhoods. They work in teams of about 10 as full-time tutors, mentors, and role models. And they serve both to help these kids stay in school and on track to graduate, and the program that I run also serves to be a leadership development program for the young people that serve with us, so it really carries two roles. One thing that's really been impressed upon me, I've worked at the U.S. State Department, I've worked at the World Bank, I've always lived in the northwest part of the city. Always wanted to do good in other parts of the world, and I have many friends and colleagues that do that now, working for international organizations. It never occurred to me that my community really revolved not just in the area that I lived, but in the entire 8 wards of Washington, D.C. And I think that I am always pushing my friends to think about that in terms of giving back. It's obvious the people that I've met in this room tonight have done some extraordinary things, and I'm really awed and honored to be sit before you this evening. But I encourage you to think about the communities that extend beyond this area that we're in, really in the areas of Anacostia, where those kids many of them are probably just as bright, if not brighter than I was when I was a child, but simply don't have the same opportunities of getting a great education. I've seen firsthand how education really is a great equalizer, and it's really why I fight passionately that young people can have a role, a positive role, here in this city and in this country and across the world. In fact, we have a site in Johannesburg, South Africa. We have 2 sites in the United Kingdom. But it really is just a deep-rooted belief in the power of young people. And the vision of our organization is that one day every young person will ask, where did you do your service year? The idea behind City Year is that you do your sophomore year, your junior year, your senior year, and then your City Year. And that's what 170 young people are doing right now during the course of this year, and we'll get a whole new crop of them in again. And so I believe in community, and I believe that we're all part of that community, and I believe it takes a village to make that community a great place. I'm passionate about DC because it is so small, and we have a great opportunity because there are so many amazing people that live here, that if we really were able to support our other brothers and sisters that are across the river, and in other areas where they don't have necessarily the privilege and blessings that many of us have had, certainly that I have had, we really can make a difference and really make this a model city for many other cities across the country. So I want to thank you again. Coming after the ambassador, I feel like maybe I should have been maybe a notable mention at best, not necessarily standing at a podium getting the same award, but I am honored. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.